Drug trafficking in Nigeria is taking a frightening dimension as 15 million citizens are reported to be affected by substance abuse. One major gateway into the country, which traffickers use in plying their illicit trade, is the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, which processes about 10 million passengers per year pre-pandemic times. Just 2 months into 2021, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Command at the International Terminal seized more than 63 kilograms of cocaine and about 950 kilograms of heroin. But nipping this menace in the bud requires an offensive onslaught. That's our focus on the program. Plus, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority suspends the operations of domestic carrier Azman Air. Our flight takes off right now.
Nigeria has over 20 airports operated by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria and several state-owned terminals. 5 of these are functional international airports, which includes Nigeria's premier gateway, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The international airport in Lagos before the pandemic processed 10 million passengers per annum, and with the highest passenger traffic in West Africa comes the attendant trafficking of some of the greatest volumes of hard drugs seized on commercial air flights, as Nigeria is known as a transit nation due to its strategic geographical location. A report from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency shows that drugs like cannabis, cocaine, heroin and others are frequently seized. Between 2015 and 2021, a total of 323.9 kg of cocaine was seized. Heroin seizures stood at 146.7 kilograms, while 590 kilograms of cannabis sativa was confiscated. Methamphetamine stands at 475 kilograms, while over 6,000 kilograms of psychotropic substances were seized. In all, 508 men and 91 women were arrested in the 5-year period. Owing to its strategic location and constant seizure of drugs, the command here is re-strategizing as a new chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency comes visiting.
You can't win a war in the defensive or by being passive. You have to get up and go after the enemy. And in this case, the traffickers, the importers, exporters, growers, those doing the clandestine labs of meth, we must go after them and their bosses and bring them to justice. We must get drugs out of Nigerian streets and communities.
There will be a paradigm shift in operations as well as training to ensure that those who engage in this illicit trade are brought to book.
We are actually fighting for the soul of Nigeria in this business. So this is a total fight to get Nigeria out of the drug woods. 15 million in Nigeria, 3 times the global average. We can't allow that to happen. Because if we are caught sleeping, this number will double in another 20 to 30 years. It will never happen while we are here wearing this uniform.
The NDLEA command at the Lagos International Airport is not working alone, as it houses the Joint Border Task Force, which was established in 2015 following a memorandum of understanding between the NDLEA, the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, and the UK National Crime Agency.
On our interview segment, the commander of the NDLEA is our guest, and he shares with us how facility upgrade is helping in the fight against drug trafficking.
There are huge seizures, like I know there was a single seizure of almost 5 tons of tramadol. That is huge. In the 5 years again, I think there's a singular seizure. The volume was much, a singular seizure of about 26, almost 27 kilograms of cocaine that was brought in by, incidentally, a female passenger and coming, using it as a check-in luggage. That is more than half a bag of 50 kilograms of rice. So that is monumental. This is something that is unheard of in a passenger in this country. Very, very tricky seizures too that were made by our officers. We have instances where cocaine was soaked in towels. We have instances where cocaine or methamphetamine were seized inside foodstuff like peppers and stuff. We have seizures made from T-shirts that were this. So these are tricky mode of concealment, but with training, the capacity given to us by the management, UNODC, UK Border Force, UK National Crime Agency, I think the officers were able to detect some of these things. So we have body scanners. There's a new one that was given to us by the UK Border Force, which is clearer and faster. So that has helped. So now we have, and they have been given different levels of training to make sure they will be able to read these images and interpret them, so that we'll be able to know who are actually carrying this. That is one. Again, at the level of investigation, we have some new things that we have. We have capacity to do extractions. We have capacity to we have now a digital lab that can do a lot of work on any data-saving equipment. So that has helped us a lot to do this. We do a lot of targeting now, which hitherto was unknown. It's more like manual, but now they have been given some levels of training. Some of them have been trained at the National Targeting Center in Manchester. At least they have gone to understudy what they are doing. I also had the honor of being there to see how things work in the National Targeting Center at Manchester. And I've done working tours in Heathrow, worked with them to see how they work. I've done working tours in Leonardo da Vinci in Italy. The officers too are exposed to different levels of training. Some we are done here. Instructors came here to give them training. Some of them had to travel out to go and see, to get those trainings. So I think that has helped for the officers to be able to do some of these interceptions. I can say, yes, we are doing better than we were doing before, and the drug problem is very complex. The United States or even in the UK, it's not like they've been able to contain it. It's something that is ongoing because somehow there's serious demand for drugs and it's very difficult. But I think looking at the figures we have, I can modestly say that we are better than where we were before.
It appears that the spat between the federal government and Emirates Airlines is not yet over, as the carrier's operations has been suspended for inbound and outbound flights from Wednesday, March 17. At the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing in Abuja, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, said the airline has continued to conduct rapid antigen tests for passengers prior to departure from Nigeria, despite the government's opposition.
We give the options to the two airlines. You can either have a PCR test 72 hours before departure or within 72 hours before departure and have a repeat PCR test on arrival, or you have a rapid test before departure and have a PCR on arrival, but not a combination of all of the three because it doesn't make scientific sense. It makes facilitation of passenger very cumbersome. It makes our work very difficult, and passengers are going through unnecessary hardship, which wasn't acceptable. We give them the option to do what we believe is safe and correct, and KLM has accepted to bring passengers in and out with the conditions that we agreed upon, i.e., to have a PCR test within 72 hours. Emirates didn't accept that position, so we have asked that Emirates will be banned from operations. We communicated to them, If they will come back to us to resume like KLM had done, then they will also be allowed to continue.
Before now, the United Arab Emirates carrier Emirates had suspended the airlift of outbound Nigerian passengers from the Abuja and Lagos airports till March 20. Also at the briefing, the Minister of Aviation announced the reopening of some older international airports.
Now that we have most of the things in place, due to all of the work that have been done by the PTF, we will be opening Enugu on the 3rd of May, 2021. We'll be opening Kano on the 5th of April, 2021, and Port Harcourt on the 15th of April, 2021 for international flights. All of the things that will be in place will be put in place to ensure safe operations before the said dates.
Nigeria's aviation sector appears to be gaining momentum after the restart of operations, and many hope that the passenger figures will rise and make business at least a bit more profitable.
Morocco's aerospace industry did see exports drop by nearly a third due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but now the sector is gradually recovering as manufacturers diversify into other high-tech engine areas and medical equipment. With the sector shedding 10% of some 17,000 jobs, the Moroccan Aerospace Suppliers Association said the industry has been dogged.
Before COVID-19, a growth of 20% was recorded for several years. It's an interesting growth, a significant technological development, but as you know, with the arrival of the pandemic, air transport stopped abruptly, which has impacted by a domino effect the entire industrial chain of aeronautics. We have been affected by this pandemic, but when we compare with other regions of the world that operate in the sector, we have been much less impacted and we have been very resilient.
Earlier this month, French Le Piston opened a $6 million plant in Morocco to manufacture aircraft engine parts in a sign of returning momentum. The Moroccan government announced its encouraging investment in the country by aerospace suppliers, hoping to match its success in car manufacturing, creating hubs to shorten supply chains and share expertise.
Lima, pendant cette période de crise, a joué un rôle essentiel, un rôle très important.
The IMA, Moroccan Airspace Institute, has played an essential role during this period of crisis, a very important role in protecting human resources and talents. And this is why we launched a program called New Opportunities that allows giving youth, some of whom were let go from their factories because of COVID-19, new trainings, and allow them to diversify their education in a way to be able to be rehired either in the aeronautical industry or in other industries, especially in the medical or biotechnology fields.
The aerospace companies least affected by the pandemic are those that extended into producing equipment for other sectors, such as medical equipment. SCRMP, a Casablanca-based company that supplies parts to French aircraft engine maker Safran, recently won approval from health authorities to make medical devices after producing ventilators and machine-making face masks.
In parallel, we have also developed other products, such as mask machines, in partnership with Renault. These machines are to provide mask manufacturers with a Moroccan tool, also produced 100% locally. All these small experiences pushed us to now create a medical-biomedical cluster, which will serve as a kickoff of a medical and medical devices industry in Morocco.
Morocco's Aerospace Suppliers Association recently launched a plan dubbed Industry 4.0 to boost the competitiveness of the Moroccan aerospace sector through encouraging highly technological industries, digitalization, and the use of clean energy.
When Aviation This Week returns, Newsflash is next. Do join us again. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has suspended the operations of local carrier Azman Air The regulatory authority, in a statement signed by its Director General, Musa Nuhu, said that following series of incidents involving the airline's Boeing 737 aircraft, it had to shut down the operations of the carrier. The authority also explains that the suspension is to enable it conduct an audit of the airline to determine the root causes of the incident and recommend corrective actions to forestall a reoccurrence. Passengers within the departure lounge of the Murtala Mohammed Airport still waiting to complete their local departure processes. Completing the process is one thing, traveling safely is another in the face of mounting insecurity in the country. To ensure that passengers do not go on board with anything harmful, authorities here say a dual scanner plays that role as part of its own terminal upgrade.
In every airport in Nigeria, what people see outside is, I want to come, fly and go. But in our own airport, we are looking at it in a way that is more than a terminal. We want a situation where you come in, everything is seamless. Now, from the screening machine, remember, we need to consider safety, security of the airport. So the essence of having a modern X-ray machine, they call it a dual view X-ray machine, is to ensure that whatever that is passing through our terminal is safe, secured, and is seen and screened properly. And that is what the kind of comfort we want to give to our passengers. Also, the cooling system. By the time you change all the ACs to brand new, not that they are totally bad, it's just that there is need for us to overhaul after a period. The future plan, we have other things we want to do. Our plan is to have expansion of the terminal. Presently, we are supposed to house over 14,000 tenants, running through the terminal. We are not gotten to that, but we don't want to wait until when the place is fully saturated. So there are expansion plans, and in the next couple of years, I think Nigerians will see what we are planning to do.
The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria has announced the temporary closure of the E-Finger departure screening point at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport to give room for maintenance and upgrade of the screening area. The agency said all human and cargo movements have been temporarily diverted to the D-Finger screening area until the maintenance is completed. The authority appeals to passengers and other airport users to be cooperative until the area is reopened. As part of a reorganization of aviation agencies, President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed 2 new chief executive officers for the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) and the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology (NCAD) Zaria in Kaduna State. Professor Bako Matazu now holds sway as boss at NIMET and has a PhD in geography. Captain Modibo Mahmood is the new rector of the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology Zaria. He holds the airline transport pilot licenses of the Federal Aviation Administration USA and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, among other qualifications. Meanwhile, the president has also reappointed Akin Olateru as the commissioner of the Accident Investigation Bureau. Olateru is cited as an aircraft maintenance engineer with an MSc in air transport management. The world's 2 largest aircraft leasing companies are combining to create a new financing giant after Ireland's AerCap finalized a deal worth more than $30 billion to buy the leasing unit of General Electric. The 2 companies seek to create a portfolio of more than 2,000 jets, dwarfing industry rivals. The tie-up creates easily the largest buyer of jetliners built by plane makers Airbus and Boeing, and will reshape a global air finance industry that has attracted a flood of capital in recent years.
General Electric thinks that now they're going to do this reverse split and end up with all these new investors who are going to come in. But we all know that the stock of General Electric has risen in the past weeks because of the Reddit crowd looking for low price stocks. And it's gone up because of the speculative traders and speculative investors, the large institutional investors, just because General Electric is now going to have an expensive priced stock. It's not going to be compelling. And there's too many issues around General Electric. There's still too much debt there.
Holidaymakers are actually escaping the cold winters and lockdowns in Europe to Egypt's sunny beaches, where officials say despite the low rate of coronavirus cases, occupancy levels remain lower than before the pandemic.
Unfortunately, we have only the nationality that are allowed to travel. So mostly are Ukrainian, Belarusian, Kazakhstan, some Armenian. So it's not a lot of countries, plus some domestic, of course, the people, the Egyptians themselves, who love to come and spend the vacations here. So few people, few nationalities, but it's not something that we can do. Each country is free to put any constraints on their people.
Egypt's tourism sector was hit by the pandemic last year, with only 3 million tourists visiting the country, a mere 23% of the number in 2019. Revenues from tourism also plunged to over $800 million in July to September, from $4.2 billion a year earlier. Egypt gradually reopened to international flights in June 2020 after 3 months of lockdown, but hotels still remain at a 50% occupancy rate.
We are here, our numbers are very low. We put very strict standards for the safety and hygiene. I hope if you can have a look in all hotels about the safety measures. And plus, we don't allow any client to come, any guest to come without the PCR. Plus we do a lot of PCR tests to our employees. So we are trying to be as safe as we can. Nobody can guarantee everything, but we are doing our best. The capacity is 50%. The social distance here is very important. The face mask. So we are doing everything. Meanwhile, we are trying to let the people enjoy their time.
Tourists from Ukraine began entering Egypt in July 2020, and some holidaymakers present here in 2021 say it's good to be here.
It's great. After Ukraine winter, it's really great, and I can't imagine and I can't understand actually that I'm in Egypt. I'm in a suit where here. Now a little bit better, I think. I hope it would be much better and everyone can have a holiday in Egypt and in any other countries.
Staying with the tourist resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, this time Egyptian authorities have completed the construction of a 36 kilometers concrete wall encircling South Sinai, a project announced in 2019 aimed at tightening security at the popular beach destination. This is also part of Egypt's push to develop South Sinai and restart tourism after taking a hit during the 2011 uprising, followed a few years later by the 2015 Russian airliner crash in the Sinai Peninsula. The Airbus A321 operated by Metrojet had been returning Russian holidaymakers from Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh to St. Petersburg when it exploded and crashed, killing everyone on board. In addition to the beach activities, a museum housing ancient Egyptian artifacts opened in 2020 with hopes to diversify tourism activities in the sunny resorts. That's our program this week. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Bukola Jo Oketumbi. Do stay safe.